All right, go ahead.
And I want to welcome everyone to our call tonight. We have special guest, Jay Floyd, our upline coach on. And before I turn it over to Jay, I just want to remind everyone that we are having a coaching webinar tomorrow night, right? Tomorrow night at 8:30. Tom and Michelle and myself are going to be taking part. And if anybody else is inviting anybody and wants to share your story on the call, let me know, because we are going to do similar to what we did at what they did at the last Super Saturday, right, where they shared a couple videos from corporate. I want to share those. And then we're going to share our success stories with Beachbody with, whoever is on the call. So basically you need everyone to make sure you invite at least 2 people to get on the call, because if you don't invite people, like I said, don't pre-qualify them. Don't say, oh, I'm only going to invite people who I think are going to be a good coach. No, just if you got people in your challenge group, or if you've got a brother or sister who would be great at this, just ask them to come hop on the call, right? Join you on the call, and no obligations. Just listen to what we're going to talk about, what we're going to share. Just don't go off of if you think they would be a good coach, but if I can tell you, I've signed up some amazing coaches who I never thought would make a great coach, right? It's like, I thought, many times, and my coach thought that I would just be a discount coach, right? But, so don't just, invite people who you think would be a great coach, is what I'm saying. So anyway, tomorrow night, 8:30. Also, one other announcement. Connie, did you have something to say? No, never mind. One other announcement. I just created a program training. It's a text-based training. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So all you have to do is text the word money to that number that I gave you, and it will train you how to make money in this business. Okay. This training is from corporate, from Kim Carver, and it's on the compensation plan. So what I did is it's 8 video trainings, and what I did is I just created a drip campaign, a text drip campaign, where you get 1 text a day, so you can watch 1 video a day, and they're only about 5-10 minute videos, so everyone should be able to watch them. Even if you're an old coach, right, who knows everything, you still want to go through the videos and watch them so that you can refer new people to watch the videos, and you know what they're talking about. So I'm going to leave this up for all time. So if you get a new coach, a year from now, you can just say, hey, text money to this, and they can go through the training program whenever they start. Those are the 2 announcements. I am going to now turn it over to Jay. Jay, go ahead.
I know Greg's probably wondering if I'm going to leave, because we tried to do this ever since Summit, and the last 2 weeks I was like, all right, I got it on the calendar, and it's like, man, you're not going to believe this. But yes, I am here. Greg asked me to do this, and I told him, I was like, are you sure you want me to do this with the group? Because I'm not really sure that I'm not going to mess them up, because Greg, I'm telling you, Greg and Amanda, they've been friends with ours for a long time. I always look forward to seeing them. We always seek them out at functions, just because they're if you don't know this already, I tell you, they're cool people, right? And they're some of the coolest people that we know. And we always just love hanging out with Greg and Amanda, and just doing life, right? And that's basically what it's all about. I'm going to click my screen off because I don't like seeing my big face up there. But anyway, and I told Greg, y'all have a system in place, and I do not want to mess that system up. So basically, I just want you to hear my story and hear where I'm coming from. For you guys that were on before the recording started, you got to meet my son, Grant. He's 24 years old. He's a senior and about to get his degree in business, and he's working landscaping now, and he's done all kinds of Beachbody programs. And my question to him on the call was, has Beachbody changed our lives? And he said, yes, in every way possible. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story, just so you know where I came from. And Greg will tell you, there are people that you know who will get involved, and there are people that you don't know that will get involved. But I can tell you right now, the people that you think won't probably will, and the people that you think will probably won't. It's just a weird thing. If you had met me, and you said, "Man, I need to talk to that guy about Beachbody," what you would have seen is somebody who needed to do the Beachbody programs, but probably would not be interested in coaching at all, because we pretended to have it all together, and there are a lot of people out there who pretend to have it all together. I grew up. I'm the son of a sharecropper. My mom was a school nurse. My dad was disabled. Greg's probably going to learn a few things tonight about me. And I went to college. I got my degree in civil engineering, and my mom paid for some of it. And then, of course, because of our income, I got a few loans and grants and stuff, but a lot of it was student loans. So I graduated with a civil engineering degree. And like a lot of kids coming out of school today, I had a lot of debt. Fortunately, it was fairly easy for me to get a job because of my engineering degree. So we started paying on that fairly quickly. Got a job and started chasing that dream. My dream was to one day own an engineering firm. I was always a little bit on the entrepreneurial side. But then as things went on, just the drudgery set in. I met my wife in 1991. We got married in 1992, and I was making about $30,000 a year. We started life out just broke and happy, right? And I kept saying, one day our ship's going to come in. One day our ship's going to come in. And I thought that ship had come in with a company called Amway. We got involved in the Amway business back about the time we got married. And my wife says it stole the first few years of our marriage from us. And it kind of did, because Amway was hard. You'd have to come home and you'd work all day. You come home, you put on a suit, and then you have to go out and show the plan. You drive 50 miles, and then you knock on somebody's door, and then you see them peeking out of their screen, and you're like, man, they're gonna no-show us. They're not there when you get there at their house. And I told Melanie when we finally I hate the word quit, but when we finally stopped doing the Amway business, I told Melanie, I said, we'll never do another network marketing thing. I'd rather have my toenails pulled out. So fast forward, and then over time, we had a couple of kids, a couple of children. She was actually pregnant with our fourth child. I was unemployed at the time. I'd been laid off from one of my engineering jobs. Now, remember, it took me 6 years to get a college education, a civil engineering degree. I transferred schools, I changed majors, and then I worked for a long time. So I started work in 1989, and about 1997, 2007, I ran across P90X on an infomercial. By that time, we had a house that we moved out of that I decided to keep and turn into a rental property, which was a bad idea. We had tried other small businesses. We had done vending machines. We had done anchor posts. We had tried several different other small business ventures that never did quite add up. Plus, I didn't have time to do it. Vending machines were bad. I spent $10,000, y'all, on a Discover card buying vending machines. And then with Melanie being pregnant with our daughter, who's now 19, and then I got transferred. My engineering company transferred me to another city. Melanie would have to run around and try to fill vending machines while she was pregnant. And that was not good at all. So anyway, long story short, I spent about 20 years chasing the engineering dream, and then realized one day that in order for me to start my own engineering firm, that was going to be a lot of headaches. I was going to have to buy a lot of equipment to do the type of engineering I did, which is geotechnical construction material services. It was going to take me about $500,000 to start that up. And believe it or not, I didn't have $500,000. I was going to have to go take out a loan. I didn't have a house that was worth $500,000. So this would have all been a collateral business type loan. And there was absolutely no way I could get it, because you've got to have some type of collateral, or you've got to have something to start that kind of business. And I was kind of stuck. Needless to say, I was very stuck. I was making $65,000, $70,000 a year, somewhere in there, getting a bonus occasionally, that kind of thing. But just bad. So anyway, that's where I came from. P90X came along. I saw it on an infomercial. I saw it one Saturday morning. This was in 2007, and I didn't order it because I just thought it was crazy. And I was like, man, that looks really, really good, but would I be committed enough to do it? I told Melanie about it. I researched it a little bit online. Then the next Saturday, the infomercial came on, and Melanie came in the room. I called her in there, and I said, this is the program I was talking about. And she looked at it for about 5 minutes, and she said, you won't do it. And she turned around and walked out. I was like, all right, that's it. So I grabbed my credit card and I ordered P90X off of the infomercial. And then I went all in. I went and got a set of weights. And remember, I was unemployed at the time. At that time, Melanie was pregnant with our now 11-year-old, about to turn 12. I went out and bought a set of the weights. I bought the meal. Back then, we didn't have Shakeology. All we had was meal replacement shakes, P90X bars, and recovery drink. That was basically all we had as far as consumable products. But I was determined to do it and started working out with the P90X program. And about 20, 30 days in, I had lost some weight. And my coach, Melanie Bolin, I'm pretty sure you guys know our upline, right? Melanie Bolin, Robert, Melissa Hudgens, Mark Briggs, all that group's in there. Anyway, Melanie Bolin said, you need to be a coach. And I was like, I could never be a coach because I haven't done anything really to be a coach. So she said, yeah, you need to be a coach. How many people are buying the product because you're telling them about it? And I said, well, I've had a few. And she said, well, you can make a commission every time anybody buys a product. I was like, how's that work? And she told me, I was like, oh, crap, it's network marketing. So I didn't do it. And I had to really think about it. And my goal, y'all, I'm telling you, my goal, and if you'd have known me back then, I looked like I had it all together. I mean, we went to all the right parties. We knew all the right people. I was an engineer. But I was definitely overweight. I was weighing close to 300 pounds. And I talked to Melanie about it. Melanie said, you can do it if you want to, but I ain't having nothing to do with it ever. That's network marketing. I'm done. I don't want anything to do with it. My goal, y'all, was to make $250 a month. I figured if I could make $250 a month, then that would offset some travel baseball expenses. It would help us dig out of a little bit of a hole. It would help me pay back the money I'd spent on the P90X and then help me get some recovery drink and all that kind of stuff. Well, when we signed up, I decided I wasn't going to order any more recovery drink until I needed it to stay active. But because I was talking to people and I was excited about it, I want you to hear this. I was excited about what I was doing and I believed in it, right? I signed up a guy and then I signed up another guy and then I had another customer. And then all of a sudden I realized, man, I'm not going to go inactive. And then I ran out of recovery drink and I was freaking out because I didn't have any recovery drinks. I had to break down and order some recovery drink because I ran out. But y'all, I'm just telling you, just over time, just slowly but surely, we sponsored a couple of coaches the first month. I think we sponsored one our second month. And then the next month I sponsored 5 and went diamond. So we went diamond in 3 months. And looking back on it, I probably could have done it a little bit quicker. But, it is what it is, right? And then my wife was my 7th coach. She's not at the top of a leg. I really messed up bad because one of the guys that I had signed up first in my left leg signed up a girl, and he said, you put your wife in her left leg, I'll put my fiance in her right leg, and then we'll help her out. Well, then that girl ended up quitting, and now you guys are all that volume flows around my wife and then back up into my first business center. So I've lost a lot of money. So if you've got any questions about how to set up a business, talk to Greg, talk to somebody in your upline. Do not do that. Set your business up right. Try to stay outside left and outside right. But Melanie was our 7th coach, and I decided I was going to drive her to diamond. I got her to diamond in 3 months. We went 2-star diamond, went to the very first top coach trip in Hawaii. And the rest, as they say, is kind of history. And that was back in 2008. Now, here's the thing. We had a lot of success relatively early, and a lot of people say, well, you got in at the right time. And okay, yeah, but let me tell you what we didn't have. We didn't have Shakeology. We didn't have challenge packs. We didn't have Beachbody on demand streaming. We didn't have a quarterly program where somebody can sign up for 2 weeks free. We didn't have all the super Saturdays. We didn't have Zoom. Heck, I didn't have a Facebook for 2 years after I signed up with Beachbody. And the only reason I got a Facebook then was because my wife had a Facebook because she wanted to check up on the children, and she started playing Farmville, and she wanted a palm tree. So I had to get a Facebook page so I could gift her a palm tree, and that's a true story. That's how I ended up with Facebook. We've never had business cards. What we do have and what we've always done is we've always had belief in this company. We've had belief in ourselves. We've had belief in the company. We've had excitement about the products that are coming out, and it will work if you work it. I have never had anybody come up to me and say, hey, you look like a Beachbody coach. Can I sign up with you? It's never happened. Even when I'm wearing my wear and share, I believe in wear and share. I love my wear and share, but It's not, somebody's not going to see P90X and walk up to me. Occasionally they'll go, hey, Beachbody, hey, P90X, but the average person on the street's not going to do that anymore, especially anymore. But even back when P90X was on infomercials all the time, occasionally somebody would see it. And most people are introverted. Most people are shy. Most people don't have belief in themselves. And even if they're doing the P90X program and they see you wearing a P90X shirt, the chances of them talking to you are slim. You're going to have to smile at them and say, hey, how you doing? Break the ice. Then if you're wearing a P90X shirt, then they may say, hey, yeah, you got a P90X shirt on. So for me, you always have to make the first contact. In fact, I'm writing stuff down as I remember it now as we go through here. If you have business cards, and Greg may tell you something different on this, but if you have business cards, if you hand that business card to somebody and you walk away, there's a very, very, very good chance that you will never hear from that person. What I would rather do is get their business card. Somebody asked me now, do you have a business card? I'm like, no, man, I don't have a business card. But I tell you what, give me your cell phone number and I'll get back a hold of you. I'll shoot you some information, And if I can get their information, now I'm in charge of the conversation. If they get my information, then chances are I'll never hear from them. Or we can exchange information. I'll say, yeah, here's my number. Give me your number. I try to get their text instead of their email because it's real easy to avoid email. It's a lot harder for somebody to avoid text because they know that if I send somebody a text, I know they got it. They could always say, oh, I didn't get your email. It went to spam. So I do my best and I have fun with it, especially if it's a young lady, because that's kind of weird, right? So I just have fun with it and go, hey, I'm not a stalker. I got a wife and 4 kids. I don't need the drama. You can block me at any time. I can put you on the phone with my wife. I promise you, I'm straight up. And I rarely have people say, no, I don't want to give you my cell phone number. But even if they balk at that, I was like, yeah, I understand. Just give me your email address. And I've had a lot more success with cell phones and texting stuff to people than I ever have with emails. But anyway, one of the things that we've always done is we've always gone to local events, Super Saturdays, anything that's local like that, you've got to be at it. And then, of course, Summit. Hopefully, all of you guys, if you're on here, you're already registered for Summit. I know it seems like a lot of money and it seems like a long way away, but if you go ahead and do that now, go ahead and throw it on a card, start building this business, then you'll be surprised at what you can do if you set that goal. It's just a non-negotiable. Summit, you've got to be at Summit. Businesses are built going to Summit. But what you should do is just not have a goal of you going to Summit. You should have a goal of how many people are going to be in your group at Summit. And if it's just you, Melanie and I went to our very first Summit and we really thought we were going alone. And then we turned around and there were 4 people in our group that decided to come kind of at the last minute, very first Summit. So you guys, I'm telling you, and it'll build, I can't even begin to tell you how many people are in our group at Summit now. And I don't know that I want to know. I get excited because I know that there are people out there like you who are catching the vision, who are catching the dream. And we don't necessarily need to know who you guys are. We just want to know what you're doing. And gosh, Dave just sent me a message, and Dave, I'll go back and look at that in just a second. But just talking to people, and Greg can teach you the why, the hows of the business. But here's what you've got to do, and here's what I want you guys to start thinking about it. And you can write this down. You can call it a dream board. You can call it a vision board. You can call it whatever you want to. But you've got to figure out why. If you can figure out why you're doing this business, then the how is going to become extremely easy. And my why is going to be completely different from your why. But let me tell you what happened with us. In 2011, because we built this business, I went out to California and I was sitting and talking to my mentor, Robert Hudgens. We were sitting and we were talking, and I drew out my organization. I showed him where my leaders were. We looked at my volume, and Robert looked at me and said, "It looks good. You can quit anytime." I was like, "Why you say that?" And he said, "How much you making in your job?" And I told him. He said, "And how much you making here?" And I told him. He said, "You're making twice as much money with Beachbody as you are at your engineering job." And it never dawned on me because we get paid every week, right? So then I added it up and went, holy smoke, I guess, you're right. Because I knew we were making money and I knew our lifestyle was changing, but I never saw it that way. Oh, and by the way, I saw a lot of people run faster than we did in the beginning, making a lot more money. And I did a lot of comparisons with those guys. And I remember talking to Robert, and I said, "Robert, man," I said, "this is aggravating." Now, remember, my goal was $250 a month was my original goal. I heard about people making $1,000 a week or $2,000 a week. And I was like, "Robert, man, No, I'm only making $250 a week. This is crazy. He said, that's $1,000 a month. I was like, yeah. And he said, how much is your house payment? I said, 750 a month. He said, you're making your house payment, bud, plus another 250. Be happy. So, I started being light with it, started going, okay, this thing, it's going to take off. It's going to go. But in 2011, I sat down with Robert and we talked about it. And I said, I've done some crazy things and we've racked up a little bit of debt and we're almost completely out of debt now. I'm going to give it another year of working the engineering job and then I'm going to quit. I'm going to walk away if things are stable. He said, they're stable. You can do it anytime. Well, I said, but if I get laid off, it's not going to hurt my feelings. Doggone if I didn't come home in 2011, the engineering company laid me off. And I was like, thank you, God. I came home. That was in 2011. I was 45 years old and I was completely retired. Would I have walked away then? Probably not. I probably would have walked away a year later, but that was fine. But then over time, with us making money and hitting the million club and all that kind of stuff, we've had dreams. And it was always one of my whys was to own a restaurant. It's just always in the back of our minds, want to own a restaurant. And now we just got open a jazz and blues club. So if you're ever in Columbia, let me know. We can go hang out at the Jazz and Blues Club. We have live music on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. And it's a lunch spot and it's an evening spot with tapas and small plates. And it's just something that was always there that we wanted to do. And Beachbody built that place. In the beginning, like I said, my goal was $250, but my dreams evolved over time. My why evolved over time. Right now, your why may be to pay off a credit card. Your why may be to pay for a wedding for your child. Your why may be to take your family on vacation. But that's something that you have to figure out. And it's got to be something more than just money, okay? You can't say, well, I just want to make $1,000. Why? Because I need to make $1,000 a week. But why? What would you do with $1,000? And then you have to get very specific. You have to get very intentional about it. And then Greg would teach you. The other thing that kills me is people quitting. And it hurts. I would rather somebody tell me no up front than quit after I've invested a little bit of time in them. And I don't know if you guys have ever had anybody quit. But you'll hear people, if you hear people from stage, people will quit on you. My whole thing is, why would anybody ever quit? You got to work out. You got to drink Shakeology. It's the best thing you can put in your body. So why would anybody ever quit? And that's what I say, Shakeology, you get Shakeology at a discount. It's the best thing you can put in your body. It's going to replace a meal, and you've got the Beachbody workout program. So there's no reason to quit. If you'll hang in here long term and you'll talk to people, and some people say make 2 good contacts a day, whatever is comfortable for you. If it's 20 a day, if it's 2 a day, if it's 2 a week, if obviously if you do 2 a day, things are going to go faster than if you just do 2 a week. But the thing that used to keep me up at night, and the thing that I still kind of think about, is what happens if the next 10 people I talk to just do what I've done? No more, no less, right? And this is me. That means in the next 90 days, I'll break 10 diamonds. Okay. Now, what if the next 10 people you talk to become a Greg Armfield or a Jay Floyd or a Robert Hudgens or a Melanie Boland or a Dave Schmidt? I mean, you're going to have diamonds in your downline. So I didn't know Greg before we started this business, but there are going to be people whose lives you're going to affect down the line. The old saying is, any fool can count the number of seeds in one apple, but only God can count the number of apples in one seed. So you don't ever know where that's going to go. And that'll make more sense the more you think about it, right? Because you plant that apple seed, you don't know how many apples that's going to produce, because it's going to grow a tree that's going to produce apples with a lot of seeds. That's going to produce more trees with apples. And that tree is going to produce apples every year with a lot more seeds. And it just explodes. So if you guys will just put your head down, not worry about results, not worry about money, not worry about the results of what you're doing. Focus on some activity for a while and just put your head down and run with some runners, find some people who want to build this business, and then look up in a year and reevaluate. And then I promise you, if you'll just do that, if you'll just get busy, just put your head down and say, okay, between now and New Orleans, next summit, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make 4 or 5 good contacts a week. I'm going to smile at people. I'm going to stay excited about this thing. I'm going to work out. And by the way, Morning Meltdown is kicking my butt. Not my favorite, but I'm doing it. And I've committed to it, and I've committed to 100 days. I started it, and I'm just going to tell you guys, and we can talk about lifestyle too. My wife and I are going to go to Cozumel. We're going September 3rd. I see you laughing, Connie. Um, obviously, you're doing Morning Meltdown too. But we're going to leave and go to Cozumel. We're leaving on the 3rd. We're going to be down there for 10 days and 9 nights. We're going to go diving, and we would have never been able to do that were it not for this business. And we're certified scuba divers now, which was also another dream of ours. And we wanted to go do those kind of things. But if you'll just go put your head down and not worry about it, the lifestyle things are going to happen. And that's just what we did. I mean, I didn't worry about the money, but I did notice the first week we made $100, and it was the week my son was born. And I looked at my wife and I said, Melanie, if I can make $100 a week, I can make $1,000 a week. I just got to work 10 times as hard. And that was my mindset from the job, right? I didn't have to work 10 times as hard. I just had to be smart and keep doing what I was doing. And then that effort multiplies itself over time. And if you guys haven't read a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, it's one of the books that I always recommend because it talks about small things done over the course of time. Jim Rohn talks about it too. One of the things that I love about Jim Rohn that he talks about too is we all know an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? And he says, well, what if that's true? It's easy to eat an apple every day, but it's also easy not to do. But you can't wait until Sunday and eat 7 apples because that's just going to wreck your system, right? You're not going to like the results of that if you eat 7 apples on a Sunday. So you got to eat an apple a day. It's consistency, and it's compounded over time. Small efforts just compounded over time is going to get you right where you want to go. It's not the big things. Most people think it's I've got to find the secret. I've got to find what works. Guys, I'm telling you right now, this is the secret. Be excited. You're involved with the best company out there at the right time in the right place. In the very beginning, it was hard. I mean, we had P90X. I had to get my kids to vacuum the floor, right? All we had was meal replacement shakes, P90X bars, and recovery drink. We didn't have Shakeology. We didn't have streaming. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have social media. We had to walk uphill in the snow both ways to school barefooted. It was bad. We had glitches all in the system with the old back office. It was horrible. We would sign people up and they'd end up in somebody else's downline. Greg, I don't know, you probably weren't involved then, but anyway,
we still have glitches. What are you talking about?
Well, there are fewer and much further apart, further between. But we would literally sign people up and they would end up somewhere else. And here's I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. If you want to write something down, you can write this down. Be excited. If you're excited, then people are going to want to follow you. If you're not excited, then they're not going to want to follow you because their life is already full of non-excitement. Hey, girl. Anyway, she stuck her head in, right? But if you're excited and you talk to people, then you're going to sign some people up. People are going to follow you. Not everybody's going to sign up. Not everybody's going to want to come now. Some people are going to want to come later. And then some people are going to quit. Some people are going to sponsor 1 or 2 people. But here's the truth. The average network marketing person signs up 2.7 people in their entire network marketing career. 2.7. Now, you can go down there and you can look down in your downline and you can probably see that if you guys are builders and you can just pick somebody and go, I wonder how many people they personally sponsored. Yep, they sponsored 2.7, just like Jay said. And then Greg, I think you were online with us one night and we did the thing where we looked at our entire downline. And once you get to a certain size, this will work. Every person that you sign up into the business, whether they are active or not, is worth about 25 to 30 points, right? Remember, we did that little exercise. You take the total number of people in your downline, and then you take your volume, and you divide your volume by the number of people in your downline, and every single person that you bring in is worth 25 to 30 points. Now, some people are going to do 250 points a week. Some people are going to do 0. It's going to average about 25 to 30 points a person. So don't think just because somebody's inactive that they don't mean anything. They're still worth 25 to 30 points, and they may come along later. But the main thing, guys, is it just takes time. Don't give up on this. It's like flying a kite. You take off and you start running with the kite, and it'll get stuck in the trees. And then you run a little bit more, and then it'll get stuck in the power line. And then you may have to drag it down. You may have to replace a stick. You may have to replace your string. You may have to start completely over and get a new kite. But eventually, as you run with this thing, it's going to take off. It's going to catch the wind, and then pretty soon you can just feed the string and just sit there and hold the string and watch it go. Now, I can tell you, you don't want to get complacent, because I did that. And when I got complacent, our income stagnated. It didn't drop off, but it did stagnate, and we didn't proceed on to where we wanted to go. But something happened to me at this past summit, and Greg and I were talking about it, and it rejuvenated me and Melanie in ways that we haven't been we haven't been there in a while. And it's just excited. It was just the whole "you belong" thing. It was the whole hearing the stories from stage and all that. And Beachbody for a while, it seemed, started to ignore those of us who were in the trenches, and now I think they've come back around and they're seeing that now. So I'm telling you guys, right now with Beachbody, it's a great company. Don't let anybody tell you Beachbody's in trouble. Beachbody's doing fantastic. I can tell you that personally. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't be on this call tonight. I wouldn't be sitting here lying to you. This is a great company. This is where you need to be. I'm gonna try to pull up this chat here, if I can pull it up without losing you guys. See chats. Can you share how Beachbody is better than previous NM? Is that New Mexico? I'm sure you meant MLM, Dave. But anyway.
Network marketing.
Oh, network marketing. I gotcha. It's kind of hard to compare because Amway is still kind of out there. But when we were doing this, we did not have the internet. The internet hadn't been invented. I don't think Al Gore had done that yet. But it was back in the early 90s. Of course, that's a joke, right? Back in the early 90s. And we would have to come home. We would have to call people. And there was a unilateral system. Our system's a bilateral, which probably doesn't mean anything to you. But we weren't allowed to put other people in other people's downlines. We were, if I sponsored Dave and Dave didn't know Greg, then I sponsored Dave and I sponsored Greg over here. And then, you see my hands? And then if I sponsored Connie, then I would put Connie here. So everything was linear across and then deep. So you had to build each leg, and you could have infinite number of legs. And so that was called a unilateral system. And then you got paid on generational volume. With our business, this is a binary system. And this is the first time I'd ever run across a binary system. You sponsor two people. And then if I sponsor Dave, I can put Greg in Dave's downline. He's personally sponsored by me. So all that volume is going to flow up through Dave and then flow up from Greg. But then also Greg's going to be putting people there that's going to be helping Dave too. So that's one big thing. But for me, Amway was started by a couple of guys in a house who said, man, let's get rich. What can we do? And one of his name was Rich DeVos, right? And Jay Van Andel. But they were like, let's do something different. We'll start this company called Amway, and if somebody sells something, then we'll give them a commission. And then if they sign up somebody to sell something, then we'll pay commission. That's kind of how they wrote the comp plan to make money. And they wrote the comp plan to make money for the company. It paid not so good on the front end, but it paid really good on the back end if you'd stay there and build the business. But that company was started with the whole mindset of making money and then developing products around that. The thing that intrigued me most about Beachbody, and the reason why I got involved, Dave, and hopefully this is going to answer your question. When I got involved, I found out that Beachbody was started by a couple of guys, and their literal focus, this is Carl Deichler and John Congdon, in case you guys don't know, their whole focus was on helping people get in shape and do it in a better way at home. And instead of going to a gym and instead of trying to do things on their own and that kind of thing. The only things out there at the time, besides Jack LaLanne, who was already old, was Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons. So, Sparkle and Jane Fonda with the Thigh Master. And there was no way I was going to sit in my living room and Sparkle, right? So when they built this business, they started building it. And then for the longest time, they resisted going network marketing because network marketing in their minds were icky. And Carl had a great blog he did, or I guess it was a blog he did a while back, talking about how they resisted the network marketing thing. They paid commissions to coaches for just a little while. And then even when they decided to do network marketing, it was a trial period, and it was $1 million body, if you've ever heard those words. So we weren't Beachbody coaches. We were $1 million body coaches. So you had $1 million body over here, and then you had Beachbody over here. And then after it started working so good, they were like, hey, this is actually going to work. They combined it all together as Team Beachbody. But the reason why I got involved here is because, frankly, it was really, really difficult for me to get passionate about aluminum-free deodorant. It was hard for me to get passionate about laundry detergent. Great stuff. Don't get me wrong. The insect repellent, kept insects off of us, just like they said it would. But it's just hard to get passionate about something that was like that, because my clothes look good, my clothes smell good. The shaving lotion, which actually I did shave more back then, the shaving lotion was smooth. It left my skin silky soft, but it didn't change my life. It didn't really hit me in my core. You know, it was always get rich, get rich, get rich, get rich. Man, we got a few good products. Here it's like, we've got the best products on the face of the earth. You can get supersonic fit, as Tony Horton says. You know, aging is for idiots, as Tony Horton says. I love Tony Horton, as you can tell, right? And when I started doing P90X and it hit me and I lost 40 pounds, I was hooked for life. I'm Beachbody Blue. I'm not going anywhere. I love this company. I absolutely love this company. I think Beachbody's heading in the right direction. You know, there've been some stumped toes along the way trying to figure out this whole digital age thing and going from video cassettes to DVDs to streaming, and then changing the online platform from the online offices. But I truly believe that Beachbody's heading in the right direction. And as Doug Couch says, very, very strong. This company's not going anywhere, and I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not going to abandon you guys. So it's just a matter of just falling in love with what you do. I'm telling you, Dave, your face is on my screen right now, so I'm talking to you. For the longest time, people would say, how many hours a week do you do this Beachbody thing? And I was like, I don't know, because Beachbody's not something I do. Beachbody's something I am. You know, when I'm talking to people, I work it into a conversation. It's just something that comes out of me. You know, I talk about my kids. I talk about my wife. I talk about my work, you know, whatever profession I'm in. I talk about Beachbody, talk about my church. It's just something I do. It's just something I am. And then Beachbody picked that up a couple of years ago and says, I am Beachbody. I felt slighted because I didn't get any kind of commission from that at all. And it just probably slipped on a conference call some night, and Carl got a hold of it and decided to use it. But I told Jeff Hill in Riviera Maya a couple of years ago that one of our slogans needs to be, I'm a lifer. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a lifer. And I tell people this all the time. I used to say it, and I still, you know, I believe it. This is just the truth. The difference between this network, this is kind of a long answer in today. The difference between this network marketing company and any other network marketing company I think that's out there that I've ever seen that I would ever want to be a part of is if Carl Deichler called me up, and I believe I would be one of the ones who would actually get a phone call. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think if he ever called me up and said, hey, Jay, this has been real. It's been fun. We're not going to pay you guys anymore. We just can't afford to do it. It's not fun anymore. We're out. I would still get up tomorrow morning and do, well, right now, Morning Meltdown. Did I mention I'm not a big fan of Morning Meltdown? But it doesn't matter because I've committed. And that's the whole thing, is you got to commit. But I would still get up and I'd work out, and I would still drink Shakeology because I believe in the product. I believe in the company. I believe in where we're going. I believe it's the best stuff I can put in my body. Totally different from shaving cream that makes my face, or something that's going to eliminate crow's feet. Yeah, I'll look good, but it's not going to change my life. These products change people's lives. And then when you understand that and you allow that to get into your soul, you're not going to go anywhere, and you're going to tell people about it. And you're going to sign people up, and you're going to go diamond. You're going to go double diamond. You're going to be in the Millionaire Club, and it's just a matter of time. Does that answer that question? Hopefully. Good. Get a thumbs up. You the man. So Greg, I don't know, you know, I can sit here and I can talk all night, obviously.
I know you could, Jay.
Sorry. These guys have bedtimes, I'm sure. It's almost school time now. I was talking with some people online tonight, and I was like, okay, we're going to talk, but we can only talk in haiku. So that was a lot of fun, you know, trying to figure out how I can say what I'm going to say with 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables in 3 sentences. So you should try that sometime. It's interesting.
I bet. Does anybody have a question for Jay? He's been around forever, so you can just ask him anything, you know?
The funny thing about this is, like I told you guys, hopefully you understand and you see now, if I can do this, you guys can do it. I don't have anything special. I just got a belief in the system. I've got a belief in the company. I've got a belief in myself. And
you could have been a founding coach, Jay, because you started in 2007.
You know, but I didn't find P90X until, well, it was the end of April, and the founding coaches actually started getting paid in March. So I was about 2 months behind. But I do have 3 business centers, really 4 if you count my sons, that are 4-digit numbers. So
yeah. But do you ever think about that? I mean, just like 2 months, and you could have been like, you know, Robert Hutchins.
If I had been on board and doing Beachbody programs and been on the message boards, if I had found P90X 6 months earlier, there's no doubt in my mind I'd have been a founding coach. But the founding coaches recognized me as an honorary founding coach, and I did get to sit in the founding coaches' seats for the Saturday night thing this year.
All right, that's good.
It's good enough for me, you know. But you know, the bottom line is, you know, the founding coaches, yeah, they've made a lot of money, but they've made a lot of money because a lot of people say they got in at the right time, but a lot of people wouldn't have stuck it out with what we had to go through in the very beginning because it was hard. I mean, I'll tell you that. Oh, I didn't see. I can do this all night. I'm telling you. The first 8 coaches I signed up to go diamond, right? The first 8. Greg, you probably know this, so you can go ahead and give them the answer. Of those 8 coaches, how many of those coaches quit? Are no longer in the business for the first 8?
I don't know, but I would guess maybe 1.
The only coach that's still in the business of those original 8 is the coach that I sleep with, because I pay her fees, right?
Yep.
And she's never really wanted to quit. All the other 7 have quit. And here's the funny thing, y'all. I never lost diamond. Now, why did I not lose diamond? And the answer is because I was sponsoring people faster than they quit. By the time those 8 quit, I already had another 20 signed up. You know, because they didn't all call up and go, okay, we're going to quit on 3. Ready, break. They didn't do that. I mean, 1 quit this week, but I'd already replaced them. Another one quit the next week. I'd already replaced them. So don't ever get complacent. Don't ever stop recruiting. Don't ever stop signing up people, because you don't know when somebody's going to get a case of the uh-ohs and decide to bail on you.
Yeah.
But we never lost diamond, you know, never lost 2-star diamond, you know. So you just got to just replace people faster than they quit, in the beginning at least, till you find those leaders. And you'll find those leaders. Me and Greg and Dave, and I don't know who else is on here who's moved up in rank and all that kind of stuff, but I know for a fact, you know, we can't be the only crazy ones out there. You know, there are some people like us out there. We just got to go find them. You know, they're just waiting for us to say, hey, you ever heard of P90X? And the cool thing is now, back then it was about 80% of people say, yeah, that's that PX90 thing on TV. Now they go, no, I've never heard of it. It's like, man, it's Beachbody. And they go, Beachbody. You go, man, we need to talk, you know, and just opens up a whole world of conversation now that you couldn't even have, because people thought they knew everything about P90X. And I told some people down in Riviera Maya, I said, I think I'm going to change my strategy for people now, because in the old days, we would sign somebody up. We would just get them to, we weren't necessarily trying to get them to be a coach right off the bat. We would get them working out first and fall in love with the programs. And once they fell in love with the programs, then it was easy for them to become a coach and to be a lifetime coach. Now, you know, and this is my focus now. My focus became, how many people can I sign up to become a coach because I've got to make rank, instead of how many people can we get involved to do the programs to get results so that they want to naturally share the products and grow it organically that way. So for me, for a while, it was all about chasing Success Club and chasing those dollars. And I didn't follow my own advice, which was take the dollar bills off people's foreheads and help people get results, and you'll be wildly successful. And I stopped following that advice because I was chasing the Success Club trips. I was chasing Success Club and all that, which I'm not saying don't do that. That's a natural byproduct of sharing the program. But if you'll just concentrate on getting people out there, helping them get results, and helping them fall in love with the program, fall in love with the company, fall in love with the products, they're going to absolutely be around for life. But if you chase them and say, man, come on, we're going to make a bunch of money with these great products, then the first week somebody tells them no, and they're going to say, well, I got in this thing to make money. Somebody told me no. Instead of, you know, hey, this program's working for me. It's going to take some time. I just got to keep working out. People are going to notice my results, and I'm going to be sharing it. I used to tell people a story all the time when I was first involved. I've been over to pick up a box out of a church. We're doing an inspection on church engineering stuff. I've been over to pick up a box, and I stood up and I said, God, man, my butt's hurting. And I didn't know one of the ladies from the church was standing behind me, and my butt was on fire from doing squats and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, your butt's hurting. I was like, yeah, my glutes. I've been working out and that kind of stuff. And she goes, what are you doing? And I told her, and she ended up getting Slim in 6, which was pretty cool. So I got a customer out of it just because saying my butt hurt. That's all about just being excited about sharing what you're doing. You know, it's pretty cool stuff. I'm sorry, Greg, I took over again. We're talking about questions.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has any questions.
I think people are scared to ask a question now. It's
Yeah.
like, man, it's bedtime.
Are there any new coaches on here that want to ask a question? I know Ryan's my new coach, but I don't know if he's on. Are you there, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So Ryan just signed up 2 weeks ago. He got his first customer within a few days.
Right.
And I know that you're interested in the opportunity. Do you have any questions on anything that you want the team to answer, or anyone else for that matter?
Yeah, just trying to take it all in right now.
It's
I
like
think one of
drinking
the
from a fire hose, ain't it?
yeah, for the most part, but it's really encouraging to hear your guys' stories and how it's worked for you. Because I mean, I've gotten just trying to. I mean, I've always kind of been on social media a little bit, but now it's trying to use those tools a little bit. Just listening to Greg's last presentation on that, and Dave's working with me on that as well. And it's just trying to see what we can do, and like it's building that relationship. I think the one big thing, and I know Dave has brought this back from some of the summits and stuff, is just it really does help people, and it's not just about selling the product. The product does help people achieve their goals, and it's not the working out is. I think that's just a great thing of it. It sells itself.
Absolutely. And once you get people to love the products, fall in love with the company, and then if you can get them to a summit on top of that, then they're pretty much locked in. They're not going to go anywhere. Even if they decide not to come back to summit next year, you can still check in on them, and they're going to be working out and drinking Shakeology. And I don't see how anybody can not do that, you know. So it just befuddles me. And then you run across a lot of people, and they're afraid because it's MLM. They're going to be a little bit like me. And then you can just look at them and say, yeah, I understand that you're probably afraid of the risk, but here's the risk. The risk is you can quit anytime. And the risk is you can quit anytime, right? The bottom line is it costs so little to sign up, and it costs so little to stay involved that it's easy to quit. You know, if you went out and you started a restaurant and you opened a jazz and blues club, it'd be a little bit more difficult to walk away. I promise you. You would dig in for a little while and you'd make it work. But there's nothing involved that if we made people pay $100,000 to be a Beachbody coach, telling them that you can potentially make an upper six-figure income doing this, you got to put down $100,000 first. We'd have a lot fewer people join up, but the ones who did would be serious. You know, the problem is it's easy to join and easy to quit. So what you can just tell people, and Greg's been successful, Dave's been successful, I've been successful. You know, if you don't have my number, make sure you get it from Greg or get it from Dave or whoever, and just say, listen, you've probably never talked to anybody who's been successful in network marketing, right? And chances are they haven't, because they know a lot of people who bounced around for a few different things, and they've done the jewelry thing, and they've done the oil stuff, or they've done whatever. But most people haven't been. By successful, I mean being able to walk away from their jobs. I mean, Greg walked away from a pretty significant job, right? Like a six-figure job.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't quite six figures, but it was almost. And we completely walked away from those things. And, you know, that I would say that's fairly successful. So put them on the phone with Greg. Never, ever, ever underestimate three-way calls. I remember talking to Greg. I remember sitting on my porch swing on my swing in the yard talking to Greg. And it was like, man, is this guy going to do anything, or am I wasting my time, you know? But Greg, I mean, I could tell he had a great spirit, and I was willing to talk to Greg. And we talked for a while. I remember that one afternoon we talked for about an hour or so on the phone, which isn't hard for me sometimes. And that's my problem, is I talk too much. I sell somebody and then I buy it back from them. Don't talk too much. Just put them on the phone. Just pique their interest a little bit. Beachbody, you can send them a video or something from the back office, or send them something from online YouTube. Make sure it's coming from Beachbody, not another Beachbody coach or whatever. Put them on the phone with Greg. Put them on the phone with Dave. Put them on the phone with me, and then let us do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, I remember I asked Jay, I said, so how much are you making?
How much am I making?
No, I remember that on that phone conversation.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. What are you making?
What did I tell you?
I think you told me you were capping out at like $5,000, and I'm like, $5,000 a week. I want to get there, you know?
I'm surprised I told you, because now I just say it's confidential. you can't handle the truth, right?
Right.
And the bottom line is it's not about what I'm making, but about what you want to make. How much do you want to make a week? What would and do you remember Eric Worre when he was at Summit? Were you in that room when he was talking about how to close? I'm looking at your face. I know it looks like I'm looking up at the right hand corner of the screen, but you remember he talked about the questions that he uses to close. You remember? Were you in that room at all?
I'm sure I was. What I don't remember what it
It
was.
basically goes like this: if you're talking to somebody and they're close but they're not quite ready to pull the trigger, you just ask them and say, how much money would it take for you to be serious about this per week? How much money would it take? And usually you're going to hear $500 to $1,000 a week. Will be about a standard answer. And every now and then, you'll hear, 10,000 a week, and it's like, okay, we can talk about that, but let's get serious. I mean, $500 to $1,000 a week will change most people's lives, right? $1,000 a week is $52,000 a year. I mean, put it in perspective, right? 26,000. $1,000 a month is $12,000 a year. If you're making $100,000 a year and you can increase your income $12,000, you just got, what's that, a 12% raise, roughly? I mean, I guess it depends on how you calculate your percentages, but if you get $1,000 a quarter, that's 4,000. That's a 4% raise. Most people aren't going to get a 4% raise. So, that's $1,000 a quarter. But most people are going to say $500 to $1,000 a week. All right. So then the next question is, okay, if you knew you could do that, how many hours a week would you be willing to devote to that over the course of the next 8 months to a year to earn $500 to $1,000 a week? The average person is going to say 10 to 12 hours a week. And then you look at it and you go, okay, so if we can make $500 to $1,000 a week over the course of the next 8 months to a year, working 10 to 12 hours a week, you would be serious about it. And that they'll say, well, yeah, say, great. Here's what we need to do. You can quit anytime, but you need to sign up right now and let's get busy, because that's very doable. Now, is it going to happen for them? I can't tell you. They may run across 500 losers that they talk to, but the chances of that are slim. If you talk to 20 people, 2 are going to be serious about it. Two are going to be serious. If you approach them the right way, I don't think you can talk to 20 people the right way in the right setting without 2 of them being seriously interested, and maybe one or both of them, 2 of them signing up now, and then 3 or 4 signing up down the road if you stay in contact with them.
And also, probably 90% of Beachbody coaches will not do the 10 to 12 hours a week, right? So they'll just, say the business doesn't work, but they don't put in the effort, right? Of it.
They'll talk to 1 or 2
surprised though.
Right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I always get surprised by coaches, especially ones who want success and are not getting it, but they're not putting time into it. And a lot of times I compare the coach business to a workout. A lot of people say they want to work out and they get in shape, but they're not actually working out. It's very much like that with the business. You have to look at them as almost the same. So if anyone wants to be successful at the business, they have to do it, at least every day if they can. They got to put the time in it. But it is an investment, and just like some people are willing to commit to invest to, and sometimes people give the time objections, or I'm not willing. I don't think I could spend a lot of time on it. If you want it, you will, and it's the same with the workout program. If you want results after 90 days or 100 workouts, you're going to wake up in the morning and do a 30-minute workout. It just surprises me that people don't do the same thing with the business. And I would love to know the secret to get people to realize that if they just commit to devoting time to their business, that it's going to get them a result.
When you figure that out, let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's the thing. If I told you that I'm going to pay you $100,000 a year, right? And all you got to do is come to work for me, and you can work 60 hours a week, and I'll pay you $100,000 a year. Most people would jump all over that, right? The problem with this thing is we don't get paid up front. You get paid 90 to 120 days out from effort done today, and it takes time for volume to build in. So what people are so used to trading dollars for hours. And people are worth so much more than they get paid, But business owners, and I'm one, we can't afford to pay our employees more than what we're bringing in revenue. You know, a lot of people say, you know, the whole $15 an hour. Well, that sounds great. I would absolutely love to pay my employees $15 an hour. But if I do that, I've got to raise the price of what I'm charging people, or I'm going to have to cut employees to make those numbers work, right? So a lot of people don't, because of competition, I can't raise my prices too much because I'll lose business. But most people are so focused on, if I work 40 hours this week, I'm going to get 40 times whatever my hourly rate is, or I'm going to make a salary. And salary, by the way, most times just means cheap overtime. And, you know, the benefits and everything that go along with it. And they're so used to every 2 weeks, I'm getting a paycheck, getting a paycheck, getting a paycheck. And they'll bust their butts for 2 weeks and they get nothing, right? Then they'll bust their tail for another 2 weeks and get nothing. Then they'll bust their tails for another 2 weeks and get nothing. And then they go, crap, this thing don't work. But what they don't understand is the compound effect. This thing's starting to build in. The first week I was in the business, I was busting it pretty good, right? I made $12.75. Second week, I made $20 and change. My third week, I think I made $12 even. My fourth week, I broke through and made $100 and change. The next week, $15. I went from 100 one week to 15 the next week, and then it bounced up to like 40, and then it bounced back down to 15, and then it was 120, and then it was back down to 40, and then it was back up to 200, and then it bounced back down to 15. We've never made zero in a week, but I mean, it was like so all over the place. It was just like, what in the world? And I was putting the effort in, but then all of a sudden, the next thing I knew, we weren't dropping below 100. Then it was, you know, 105, and then 250, and then 110, and then back to 105, and then 300. And then the next thing I knew, it didn't drop below 200. And then it just kept going. Then the next thing I knew, it didn't drop below 1,000. And it's been a very long time since our paychecks dropped. Well, I mean, it's still up and down. But once you get to a point where you're capping on your rank, then you'll see it levels itself back out. But we just got to somehow get people to understand, and this is a one-on-one thing. You can't do this in a group setting. You just got to get people to believe in the products, believe in the system, believe in long-term, put your head down. That's why I said, put your head down and work hard for a year and don't look up. Don't worry about results. Focus on your activity. Focus on 2 to 5 good contacts a day or a week, if that's all you can do, and just do that consistently for a year. And don't worry about the results. Worry about getting people plugged into the system. Worry about getting people results. And you'll see your income start to grow, because those people are going to get excited. And then when those people get excited, then you call your upline and you put your upline on a Zoom call, right? Or a 3-way call or whatever, because once you find a leader, you want to run with the runners. And that's what we've always tried to do, is we've tried to identify, and this is a little bit more advanced training, but once you start building your group, I'm doodle while I'm talking, can you tell? But we tried to identify those leaders. And when I ran across a leader, even if they weren't personally sponsored by me, somebody like a Greg, I'm going to pour into and I'm going to invest time in those guys, like the Daves and like the Connies or whoever. When they pop up as a leader, guess what they're going to bring? They're going to bring more people, and more people are going to bring more volume, right? And then that just works its way down, and you'll see it start just to blow out in places and pockets. And if you start just pouring into those people in your downline and treating everybody like they're personally sponsored, whether they are or not, building depth. Depth is where the organization's built, you know, just trusting the system, trusting the product, and building depth.
Yeah, I remember when I was a diamond coach, and I think I was making like $100 a week. And I asked my coach, Scott, I'm like, hey, when is this team bonus thing going to start paying off? I mean, you got Jay making these huge bucks, and I'm working my tail off and getting nothing, or, you know, I thought, right?
Sure.
And he's just like, you just got to keep recruiting. You just got to keep adding people. It will compound. And I did. I just didn't give up. You know, every month I'd add 2 people. Every month, 2 people. Yep. Every month, 2 more people.
Yep.
And
if you'll make 2 to 3 good quality contacts a week, you'll sign up a couple people a month, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then when it blew up, it was kind of like it happened overnight, wasn't it, looking back on it?
Yeah, I don't even know when it started to happen, but it did. You know? And right. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's pretty good. Like, you know, get my car payment paid for, and then house payment paid for, you know?
Yep. There's a great movie called Fault in Our Stars, And she says, falling in love is kind of like falling asleep. It's a little by little and then all at once, right? And that's the way this business is. I mean, it's little by little by little, and then it's all at once. And it seems to, for me at least, it seems like I'll go in a little bit of a drought as far as sponsoring people, and then all of a sudden I'll knock down 5 or 6 people in a month. Here's the other thing that I haven't talked about in a while. And of course, you guys don't see anything happening in your downline because I'm not building in that part of the leg. Y'all kind of got hung out on the inside, right? Well, welcome.
Yeah, Dave's not either.
Welcome to my world is all I can say, because now it's all that hung me on the inside and hung me out to dry, so I get nothing either. So don't cry me a river. What was I going to tell you? Oh, sponsor 3 to 4 people in a day, right? I haven't taught this in a while, but this is kind of advanced training. But I don't think Greg's ever going to invite me back on this call because I talk too much. But you can sponsor 3 to 4 people in a day. And people go, well, how do you do that? Well, the answer is real simple. If you've got some people in the pipeline, you got a bunch of people on the fence, and you got somebody that you think is going to fall over, then you call John and you say, John, Dave's going to sign up today or tomorrow. He can be in your downline. We need to get you going right now. And then he'll say, all right, well, when can we do it? And it's like, I tell you what, I got a couple things to do. Let me call you back in an hour and we'll get you going. I'll walk you through the process. Hang up the phone, get on the phone with Bob. Hey, Bob. Got a couple guys going, Greg and Dave. They fixing to get going, right? They can be in your downline. You can have 2 people in your downline to start with right now. All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll call you back in about an hour. And I'll walk you through the process. Hang up the phone. Hey, Carol, I got Bob, Dave, and Greg about to sign up. You have 3 people in your downline. You got your credit card handy. Let's get you going. Sign her up. See, you're laughing, but I mean, dude, really.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know how many new people we have on this call. We talk about downline and stuff like that. And the reason why Jay is referring to having people sign up before other people is because the team bonuses are based on team performance. So when other coaches in the family recruit coaches and place them in your own network, they're going to help you get team bonuses as well. So that's why it's important that we all rock it as business, and why Jay's mentioning right now that sometimes placement will make a difference.
And a lot of people say, well, that's not fair to Bob because Bob was ready to go right now. And now you put him beneath 3 people that could have been in his downline. Well, that's true, but I did talk to them first. And yeah, Bob was the most excited, but fires burn up. So I want Bob down there and he's going to be fired up. And those other 3 coaches may not do anything right now, but as they start seeing their network build up and you call them up and go, hey man, you got 10,000 points in your left leg. You've got 0 in your right. You need to get going, right? But then also Carol, Dave, and who else did I say? Whoever it was, Bob, whatever. They're going to be placing people in that downline under that guy too. So yes, that volume from Bob's going to flow up through Carol, but Carol's also going to be placing people in Bob's downline, and all that volume's going to flow up, and it helps everybody all the way up. Supposedly, theoretically, right? That's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, we need to wrap up. You have any?
Man, I'm just getting going now. That's all.
I know you're just getting started.
That's right.
Do you have any final words, Jay? There.
No. Does anybody have any questions? I promise I won't make it a long answer.
Don't believe them.
What do you do on the hard days? You've got to have down days. What do you do on the hard days?
I kick the dog, and it makes me feel
No, you do not.
better. You heard that dog, didn't you?
He was.
Are you in the back of a police car? I see flashing lights.
No, it's a
Disco lights.
I want to know where Connie is, because it looks like she's in a padded room. I was going to say something about that earlier, but decided not to.
She's in her truck. She's a truck driver.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome. It's a sleeper cab. On the hard days. Now, when you say hard days, I'm assuming you mean like.
You've got shit days. Everybody's got shit days.
But I mean, are you talking about hard days with the business or hard days in life?
Either or both. You pick.
I guess hard days are different from everybody, and I'm extremely blessed at this point. I've sat on my couch and cried because I really thought we were going to go into foreclosure because of some rental properties we own. I have cried, and that's okay. And you do have those hard days, and everybody goes through those days. You break a fingernail, or you have a flat tire, or you get a bad diagnosis with a spouse. Everybody goes through that kind of stuff. For me, it's faith in God. I'm a believer. I rest on that. I read Bible. I pray. And that's me. You know, a lot of people don't have that same faith, and that's fine. But you just got to figure out what works for you. Find your happy place. Whether it's, you know, we go out. Honest to goodness, we got chickens, right? We go out in the backyard and we'll set up our chairs and we call it chicken TV.
We see it behind you, Jay. You got pictures of chickens.
That's right. I sure do. But
you're eating chicken while watching chickens.
That's right. But we watch chicken TV. But the main thing is regardless of the hard days, because you're going to have the hard days. You know, there are certain things you're going to do every day that are non-negotiable, right? You got to work out. You got to drink your Shakeology. You know, and then there are certain other things that you have to do that day. And if you have those things blocked off, then it's easy to go do them. But if it's like, yeah, I don't feel like it today, and that's now all of a sudden that thing's becoming negotiable, and it depends on your emotions and how you feel instead of logicking your way through it. And that's a whole nother thing, man. Lizard Brain would be a great book. Seth Godin talks about the lizard brain, the limbic system, where a lot of people are driven by emotion. And, you know, all other creatures in the world are driven by emotion. They don't have a well-developed prefrontal cortex, and that's where logic comes from. So you got to just say to yourself, you know, this is all emotional stuff. It's not going to matter in 5 years. And my saying is, if it doesn't matter in 100 years, it doesn't matter, right? What am I doing today that's going to matter in 100 years? Is me working out today going to matter in 100 years? Well, people say probably not, right? But to me, it is, because my kids are watching me. And I'm developing habits into them by them watching me that's going to carry down from generation to generation to generation. I'm instilling in them habits that they're seeing me do, right? That's something that I've got to do. Drinking Shakeology, taking care of my body, taking care of myself, the things that I'm building into my kids. That's something I've got to think logically. It's like, it doesn't matter how I feel. It matters what I have to do. Because when we have a hard day, do we call up our boss and go, man, I'm having a hard day, I'm not coming in today? And the answer is no, we don't do that, because we'd lose our job, right? It's like, oh, poor baby, get your butt in here to work. So you just have to logic your way through this and say, okay, I'm going to treat this thing like a job. I know that right now it's not paying me what I think I'm worth. In fact, I'll just tell you a real quick story. All right. I said I was going to keep it short, didn't I, Greg?
Yep.
Really quick. We hit the million club, right? So and of course that means we made over $1 million with Beachbody, and that was a few years ago. And we posted it up on Facebook. And of course I told Melanie, you got to post this, because if I post it, I look like I'm bragging, right? So you got to post it and say, I'm proud of you, honey. So I mean, we kind of laugh about that stuff, but it's true. I mean, you know what I'm saying. It's better coming from somebody else when they praise you, right? So my buddy Dean calls me up, and he had started the business and then quit. But in the very beginning, he said, how many hours a week are you doing with this? And I said, man, I don't know. He said, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know, 15, 20. I wish I could spend more. I wish I had more time. He said, how much money did you make? I was like, man, I made $12.75. He said, you realize you're making about 50 cents an hour? And I said, yeah, but it's going to get better. How do you know? I don't know. I just know, right? Well, of course, time goes on. And now I'm spending less time to make more money. It's kind of like pushing a car, right? To push a car is kinetic energy. You got to get that thing going. And once you get it going, you can just kind of keep pushing it, as long as you're not going uphill. You know, you can just keep pushing that thing, but it takes a lot of effort to get going. But once you get it going, it's going, right? A few years later, after I hit Million Club, he calls up and says, so you've had $1 million in sales? I was like, no, that's not exactly how this thing works. I've made $1 million. He said, they paid you $1 million? Yep. So here's the thing. I'll leave you with this. It was just Apollo 11 stuff, right? They had like 1 million gallons of fuel. It's like 960,000 pounds of fuel. You know how much they burned to get out of the atmosphere? About 2/3 of it to leave the Earth to get into orbit. The other third was going 275,000 miles and back. The first 2 miles, they spent 2/3 of their fuel. Here's the thing. To get a business like this going, it's going to take a lot of energy and a lot of effort up front. And I used to try to hide that and kind of sugarcoat that with people. No need in doing that. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some just push to get this thing going. But once you get going, you can put it on cruise, and it doesn't take much effort to keep it going. Does that make sense, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's with anything. That's with starting a new business. That's with starting a new marriage. You know, a lot of people put it on cruise control too quick on the marriage thing. But You know, anything, you know, if any new endeavor you start, it's going to take a lot of concentrated, focused effort up front. And then once you get in that routine, then it's easy. Then it takes off on its own. There you go. I'll leave you with that. How's that?
All right. Thank you very much. All right.
Hopefully I didn't play the guys out.
No, it was great. I think everybody enjoyed it, right, guys?
Very good.
All right. So thanks again, Jay, and everyone else. Hopefully we'll see you on the open house call tomorrow at 8:30. And if not, we have our next team call next Tuesday, same time, same day. All right. And I know, Samara, you're looking forward to the final Greg holiday, right?
Yes, but this is great. Thank you. This is wonderful.
All right, guys.